Good evening and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We thank you for joining us once again. I am Lydia Ojije Ochi. Now the news in full. The Independent National Electoral Commission has presented certificates of return to Senators Dore Diri and Lawrence Eku-Jakpo as governor and deputy governor-elect of Bayelsa State, following the Supreme Court judgment that sacked David Leon of the All Progressives Congress. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, at a media briefing in Abuja, said the commission reviewed the certified true copy of the Supreme Court judgment. Timothy Yusuf has more.
45 political parties participated in the November 16 Bayelsa governorship election that hitherto declared David Leon of the APC governor-elect. A pre-election suit on the election lasted until Thursday, February 13, 2020, that brought a judgment which disqualified the APC deputy governorship candidate and vitiated the joint ticket of the party.
In compliance with the orders of the Supreme Court, the Commission met this morning and reviewed the result of the election without the votes scored by the All Progressives Congress APC, whose candidates were deemed not to have participated in the election. The total number of lawful and valid votes cast in the election now stands at 146,999. Out of this figure, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party scored the highest number of lawful votes with 143,172. Similarly, the party has scored more than 25% of the lawful votes cast in all the 8 local government areas of the state. With this outcome, the election is conclusive at first ballot. Consequently, Senator Duoye Diri and Senator Lawrence Eku-Jakpo of the PDP are hereby declared winners and returned elected as governor and deputy governor of Bayelsa State, respectively.
The new governor-elect and his deputy, Senators Duoye Diri and Lawrence Eku-Jakpo, were thereafter presented their certificate of return by INEC National Commissioner May Agbamuche Mbu.
For us, God has taken us through a winding road, and it has taught us lessons of reconciliation, lessons of love.
The governor-elect and his deputy later visited the PDP Legacy House, where they presented their certificates to the party's leadership. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
Still on the fallout of the Supreme Court judgment on Bayelsa, I spoke earlier with Victor Giwa, a constitutional lawyer who spoke on lessons and what the ruling portends for Nigeria's democracy.
Put a lot of trust in this.
Thank you. Now, finally, what does this portend for our democracy?
Well, our democracy is developing, but Nigerians should not allow courts to decide who should govern us. The issue of governance, the issue of who should govern the society should be strictly a political affair and shouldn't be a judicial affair. The politicians should play their politics very well and let the judiciary do the issue of dispensing justice very well.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with Leaders must lead the way as example in the renewed fight against corruption, so said Gombe State Governor, who joined Nigerian youth in Gombe State during the National Day of the Youth's Walk Against Corruption. Emmanuel Akila reports.
The fight against corruption has been talked about in different fora, with meetings and actions cutting across broad spectrum of issues in the Nigerian society, and the resolve by the present government has seen people in corridors of power being brought to justice. The work, which began from the office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), traversed the major street of Gombe metropolis with a pause at downtown Gombe for addresses on the crux of the matter.
From head to toe, at the national level, you can all testify that Mr. President is determined and he's taking this fight to the end. So also are all the members of the cabinet, and down the ladder, if you come to the state, you can see what is happening. There is enough justification for anybody to believe that we are out in total. We are going to execute this fight, and I believe with your support, all of you, we shall deliver.
The anti-graft agency EFCC and civil society groups reiterate their unrelenting battle against the menace of corruption. The youths are happy that leaders are taking the matter more seriously.
The government is actually encouraging us to stand firm against corruption, and every citizen of the country, every citizen of Gombe State is supposed to know that we're supposed to fight against corruption. So I 100% fully support the work against corruption.
Some carry placards with inscriptions such as, "The time to act is now." In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
Yes, the Nigerian youth walk against corruption also took place in Jos, and Cameron Canning Ladoja will give us their own situation report there. Now, Cameron, what is your opinion on the sensitization walk against corruption? Tell us.
Okay, this morning as at 7 a.m., we had the youth corps members, civil society groups, labor unions, all come together, and with the EFCC and NYSC, and they had the walk from the NYSC secretariat down to the old airports. And the governor was also part of the walk with other state executive council. And we had over 500 corps members, and they all spoke about the need for every Nigerian to work together to fight against corruption. And the message was that culture is not a Nigerian culture, and there's a need to put an end to it. The governor actually asked that every responsible citizen of Nigeria should work towards ending or eradicating corruption in Nigeria.
Cameron, can you tell us, educate us more, what was the level of participation among the youth in your state?
I'll describe it as pretty high. The corps members were very enthusiastic. They had flyers. They shared it to motorists on the road, and then spoke to other pedestrians walking by the roadside, and they encouraged other people and talking to them about the dangers of corruption. As a matter of fact, they likened it to the coronavirus and said we actually need to find a way to put corruption to an end.
Okay, now do you think this has created enough awareness amongst the youth in Plateau State?
I would like to think it has, because the hope is that even if it's one person, you would actually find a way to pass the message down, which was part of the charge by the Plateau State Governor, that this should not just be an exercise in futility, but to ensure that this message goes down to the grassroots, that each corps member should pass the message at his place of primary assignment. So if each one can reach one, that way the message will be passed around. And then for the AFCC, they say this is just one way of trying to catch them young. They've had other ways of talking to other people through jingles and programs, but since corruption evolves every day, you can't say you just sit down and not find a way to reach out to more youths. So this is another strategy for them to reach out to more youths. And this is the first edition of a collaboration between the Federal Ministry of Youths and Development and then the NYSC and EFCC.
Many thanks, Cameron, for that situation report from Jos. Thank you so much. And I would also like to join Lanre in Ibadan to know what the situation is at that zone on the Nigerian youth walk against corruption. Lanre, if you can hear me, do you see any positive response from the Nigerian public?
Well, it's been massive exercise here in Ibadan. And we all went out around 7 in the morning, going through major areas in Ibadan metropolis, calling on people to come and join in the fight against corruption. About 500 core members participated in this exercise, including the NDLEA, the NOHIN, that is the National Orientation Agency, and all other sister agencies, including the police. We all went through Ibadan metropolis, calling on people that corruption is a menace that should be tackled. And one striking thing about this exercise is that the youth corps members were so full of enthusiasm to participate in the exercise. They were at the front, at the back, shouting, crying, calling on people to join in. That corruption, it's like they are the vanguard now, that they should tackle corruption headlong. And another thing is that they say it's not going to end there. They are going to go into their various primary centers at the grassroots to talk to the people about the dangers of corruption. Lydia, it's back to you.
Thank you, Larry. If you can take one more question for us. What was the level of preparation towards the success of this corruption, work against corruption?
Going by the success of the exercise that we did this morning, the preparation has been very, very, very satisfying. The NDLEA, the NYSC, they did all things possible to make sure that this thing is a success. And judging by what we did this morning, it was a success, because everybody acknowledged that corruption is a thing that must be tackled in this country. And the core members that participated, like I said earlier, there were about 500 core members. That shows a level of high-level preparation towards the exercise.
Thank you for that situation report. We hope we can also join Enugu much later. But right now, we'll take our first commercial break. To stay.
This year, the weather conditions harmattan in Nigeria is harsh, with temperature dropping very low in some parts of the country. Many underprivileged children are exposed to these harsh weather conditions, putting them at risk to all sorts of respiratory infections with devastating consequences. We request well-meaning Nigerians to kindly donate warm clothing, blankets, beverages, soap, moisturizers, and other essential items for the benefit of these children. Get involved to support displaced and underprivileged children exposed to these harsh weather conditions. Powered by Aisha Buhari Foundation.
The lack of electricity has really brought up multi-dimensional challenges of human existence.
People are really suffering. They are really suffering.
Whatever we want to do, we are just managing ourselves.
We are praying to have something.
Sports coverage and reporting require special skills which can only be acquired through training and experience. NTA TV College JOS invites sports reporters, administrators, commentators in the private and public sector to a special 2-week capacity building course on sports coverage and reporting skills in broadcasting. The course will equip participants with contemporary reporting skills for local and international sports, and also expose participants to modern trends in sports commentaries, scripting, shooting, directing, and much more. Take advantage of the course to develop your skills and capacities in sports coverage and reporting. Date 17th to 28th February 2020. Course fee 80,000 naira only, accommodation inclusive. Running concurrently is a special 4-week intensive course on record management and registry functions. Participants will be tutored on modern techniques of record keeping and registry management. Date 17th February to 13th March 2020. Course fee 100,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue of both courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos, Plateau State. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
Are you looking for a serene environment where you can relax and feel at home with family and friends? Then search no more, because Liverpool VIP Hotel and Unique Resort is the answer. At Liverpool VIP Hotel and Unique Resort, we have well-furnished standard rooms and suites, 24 hours power supply, advanced security with CCTV cameras everywhere, VIP and bush bar, restaurant with all kinds of African and continental cuisines, assorted drinks, shawarma sports, modern 80-seater conference room. And now, check this out, 30% discount for all rooms and suites for 3 months. Hurry now to Liverpool VIP Hotels and Unique Resort, located at number 4 St. Michael's Crescent, off Tombier Extension, Jerry A Phase 3, Port Harcourt, River State. For reservation and more information, call 080-6764-0587. Liverpool VIP Hotel and Unique Resort. True hospitality.
You're still on to Nationwide. Let's join Nura Tanko Wakili in Sokoto for more reports. Over to you, Nura.
Media and welcome to Sokoto. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says the whistle-blowing policy is still in force. Zonal head of the commission in Sokoto, Abdullah Hilal, stated this at the Nigerian Youth Walk Against Corruption held in Sokoto. Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila has the details.
Corruption across the globe and Nigeria in particular has become a complex practice that has affected all spheres of life. It is expected that the Youth Walk Against Corruption will increase awareness among Nigerian youths and ensure perception of Nigerian youths on corruption is changed. Stakeholders at the walk advocate for collective efforts and more awareness on the dangers of corruption at all levels.
We are trying to capture the youth because we believe that it is through youth that this information will pass all nooks and crannies of the country. And each and every one of us should contribute his own quota towards the eradication of this menace.
500 youth co-members, civil society organizations, youth and women groups, among other unions, were part of the work and promised to support the EFCC and other anti-corruption agencies in the fight against the scourge of corruption in Nigeria.
Let's kill corruption, because if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill us.
We are trying to make sure that we eradicate all sorts of corruption violence in the campus.
Highlights of the work was a paper presentation by the Executive Director, Community Center for Development and Northwest Universal Periodic Review on ways to support the anti-corruption fight in Nigeria. In Sokoto, Abraham Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
Stakeholders in Kebbi State have thrown their support behind the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Youth Walk Against Corruption. The roadwalk, which passed through major streets in Birnin Kebbi, attracted participants from civil society organizations, youth groups, and co-members. The report. Youth, who represent over 60% of the Nigeria's population, are the most vulnerable and prone to the consequences of poor governance occasioned by corruption. Bringing them together, therefore, in a sensitization campaign against the monster will further strengthen the EFCC's crusade.
That Nigeria is ready to fight this corruption, and youths are very essential for this fight against corruption.
Well, as you can see, we're all here. Most of us are youths here, and it gives a sign to show commitment to fight corruption.
So I want to use this opportunity to call on the youth to make sure that they have gone away with anything to do with corruption.
This sensitization, participants advocated for a positive disposition towards the fight against corruption.
Reviving the spirit of young people to fight corruption, but it should go beyond that. By 2020, we should be expecting action.
We are always agitating for good governance, and then we know fighting corruption is part of good governance.
We are working against corruption. We are saying that corruption should leave our country.
Corruption is a collective responsibility, and right from camp, we have been preaching the message to them, and I want to believe by now, they must have assimilated.
The sensitization campaign is therefore expected to prepare the minds of the upcoming generations to fight the monster called corruption, not only in words but in action. And as our contribution from Sokoto, Nationwide continues with leader in Abuja.
Many thanks, Nura. 14th February this year is a date with history as the National Orientation Agency staged a walk tagged Fall in Love with Nigeria. Kenneth Nanim reports that the agency is using the day to emphasize on collective responsibility of nation building.
This march is not a protest, but a work for patriotism, championed by the National Orientation Agency to reawaken the spirit of nation building, especially for the youths on the special day of Valentine. The Minister of Interior, Rauf Araboshala, unveiled the Fall in Love with Nigeria campaign slogan.
Our love of other lands should therefore burn in our hearts as we celebrate this year's Valentine Day.
The promotion of peace and security is a task for every individual, and in the Nigerian context, the responsibility of every well-meaning citizen.
There is nothing more noble, patriotic, and an act of love other than the undying quest to promote and entrench the virtues of integrity, transparency, honesty, accountability, probity, and prudence.
The National Orientation Agency is also using the day to salute the gallantry of the Nigerian military in the fight against insurgency as it honors the sacrifice of the fallen heroes.
I can categorically tell you again that our dear brothers, the fallen heroes, if they come back to life and they are asked whether they are to sacrifice their lives again for Nigeria, they will do that again and again.
Fall in love with Nigeria. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
I'm being joined by David Akoji. He is the Special Assistant to the Director General National Orientation Agency and is here to shed more light on the topic falling in love with Nigeria. Welcome to Nationwide.
I thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Now, the topic, falling in love with Nigeria. What does this mean on a day like this to Nigerians?
Okay. Globally, February 14th is recognized as a day of love because of the sacrifice of St. Valentine and the history that is around that. Now, building on that global feeling of love, selfless love actually, the National Orientation Agency feels that it's a good time to raise national consciousness on the need for patriotism, on the need to focus attention on many of the positive things that have stood us out as a nation. There are so many narratives, negative narratives about Nigeria out there. Now, if you are not careful, you would want to jump to the conclusion that there are no positive things happening in this country. This is not true. Nigeria is a great nation in many ways. In the diaspora, in the United States, for instance, Nigerians are some of the most educated immigrant group in the United States. You go to hospitals, some of their top-notch doctors are Nigerians. Nigerians are doing us proud in sports, in boxing, and several other areas of sports. So we thought that a time like this was apt to capture all of this and then direct national attention to those things that are positive about our nation, and then to encourage the citizens to be patriotic. Because great nations are built by citizens who love their country and who are patriotic and who are selfless concerning their nation. As you saw the representative of the Chief of Defense Staff say that a lot of these soldiers who have died, if they had the opportunity, again and again and again, they would put their life on the line to secure our lives and properties in this nation. That's another area too that Nigerians appear not to be so much aware. There are a lot of patriotic members of the armed forces dying in various operations across this country in sacrifice for our nation. And we must recognize these ones. We must let their families know that their sacrifices are not in vain and that Nigeria appreciates them.
Yes. Now, it seems patriotism is the focus or the reason for this topic. Now, is this going to be a continuous thing every Valentine's Day?
Absolutely. It is going to be continuous. We're going to seize upon the opportunity of selfless love that Valentine offers to call attention of Nigerians to the need for us to love our country, to contribute in nurturing her into that greatness that we all desire to see.
Now, also would like you to share your thoughts on this. What about efforts to ensure harmonious coexistence among Nigerians? Is it also part of this?
You see, if as a country and as citizens, if we are patriotic, then innate in that patriotism would be a love for our neighbor, would be a desire to promote those things that unite us. Inside of this campaign, we are also promoting our national ethics, which is captured in the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, Chapter 2, Section 23. And it talks about religious tolerance. It talks about dignity in labor, social justice, integrity. All of these are ethics and values that if we decide to physically manifest will make us a great nation.
Thank you so much for coming on Nationwide. We
Thank you
hope
very much
that by this, Nigerians will fall in love more with Nigeria. Thank you so much. Been talking with David Akoji, Special Assistant to the DG, Nigeria National Orientation Agency. Now, love, romance and affection are all feelings expressed by humans. The big question is, what has love and its colors got to do with 14th of February? Elizabeth Omori will tell us the myth behind Valentine's Day and the essence of the day to human beings.
14th of February is celebrated annually as Valentine's Day or Feast of Saint Valentine. It originated as a Western Christian feast by Pope Gelasius I in AD 496. The Catholic Church cherishes the Feast of Valentine. Going by stories, what is today known as Valentine is linked to the imprisonment of Saint Valentine of Terni, who performed weddings for soldiers who were forbidden to marry and killed by Emperor Claudius II. There are, however, different accounts of martyrdom. As another account have it that Valentine restored sight to the blind daughter of his judge and wrote her a letter signed by Valentine before his execution. Beyond the spiritual connotations, how do people interpret the day?
Love is actually self-giving. Love is friendship. Love is sacrifice. And love is joyful even when it's in pains and all of those. So we must understand what love is in order to express it better and not confuse it with the infatuations that come with it.
It's my great delight to share this very day with the persons with disability.
14th of February is characterized with two colors, red and white, which often reflect in clothes, accessories, confectionaries, gifts, cats, and of course, messages of love.
You tell me that you love me, baby. Why you say you don't? You love me, I love you, baby.
Our curiosity on the essence of that day led us to this lady in red, whom we followed to her destination. And guess where? A seminar on love for persons living with disabilities.
I'm so happy. Today is my first time in life of going out in a Valentine's Day.
As the world celebrates Valentine's Day, respondents are pointing out the need for genuine love and entrenchment of right values that advance development. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Now we'll join Michael Olale in Lagos for stories making rounds in that part of the country. Michael, how is Lagos today?
Lagos is fine, Lydia, and welcome to Lagos. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has given his backing to the Southwest security outfit codenamed Operation Amotekun. He, however, warned that it should not be operated as a regional security outfit. Nosausula reports that the IG was speaking shortly after meeting with Southwest governors at a stakeholder summit on community policing held in Lagos.
Community policing is a philosophy that promotes organizational strategies that supports the systematic use of partnerships and problem-solving techniques to proactively address the immediate conditions that give rise to public safety issues such as crime, social disorder, and fear of crime. The Inspector General of Police said the federal government is not in opposition to any security outfit that would be in tandem with community policing. He, however, added that the issue of regional policing should be discarded.
Every state has one form of outfit, whether it is vigilante or neighborhood watch, that are working with security agencies in the states to fight crime.
The chairman of the Southwest Governors Forum, Rotimi Akeredolu, described Amotekun as a community policing strategy to tackle crime in the region.
The community policing which the Nigerian police is anchoring is one that will benefit all of us, and we have chosen that we will embrace community policing.
The federal government and Southwest governors had earlier agreed that Operation Amotekun should be structured to align with the community policing strategy of the federal government. In Lagos, Nosa Usula, NTA News.
Still on security, 7 vessels containing petroleum products impounded by the Nigerian Navy ship Beecroft have been handed to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC). The executive officer, NNS Beecroft, made the presentation in Lagos. Lynn Neneke has details.
In the face of attacks on oil facilities, bunkering and illegal activities of the nation's maritime environment, the Nigerian Navy has continued to strategize to safeguard this exclusive economic zone of the nation. The Nigerian Navy ship Beecroft between December 2019 and January 2020 seized 12 vessels suspected to be involved in illegal bunkering within the command's areas of responsibility. Documents of the seizures and the suspects have been handed over to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for further investigations and prosecution.
After our preliminary investigations as a Navy, we went over to EFCC in this case. They will also do their investigations in conjunction with the Department of Petroleum Resources. It's when the DPR analysis is out, using the approved laboratories that will be able to tell you this is the exact product on board.
Emphasizing the Navy's determination to fight oil theft and other maritime crimes, the executive officer, NNS Beecroft, Navy Captain Rafiu Oladejo, commended the synergy between the Navy and the EFCC.
The Nigerian Navy, and in particular, the Western Naval Command, and by extension, NNS Beecroft, is committed to keeping the Nigeria's maritime environment in its area of responsibility safe and secure, towards enhancing national security and boosting national economic prosperity.
The vessels laden with unspecified quantity of illegally refined petroleum products have been in the custody of the Navy since last year. In Lagos, Lane Lenake, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Lagos. Lydia is still standing by in Abuja for more news.
Many thanks, Michael. Advancement in ICT and other means of communication seems to have made the post office obsolete. But the Nigerian Postal Service is disputing this perception, as it is repackaging to stage a comeback that will make its services compelling. The Postmaster General of the Federation is setting this in motion with a visit to the Nigerian Television Authority to seek partnership.
The post office used to be one of the most relevant institutions in many parts of the world. British postal system came to Nigeria in 1852 and remained a major driver of social and economic sectors until the mid-80s, when it began to wane due to advancement in technology. At present, many don't even know what it is.
I can't really recall because I don't even know whether the post office exists.
I've never been to a post office before.
That is about to change, as the Nigerian Postal Service is poised to have a say in government's drive to achieve digital economy, particularly at the grassroots.
see how
already, the Postmaster General is on his feet, seeking collaboration with the Nigerian Television Authority.
One of the most important milestones that we're also going to enter is the setting up of a postal service bank.
Director General NTA Yakubu Ibn Muhammad is poised to point out that NTA is the right place to go to when carrying out any national policy that will promote economic, social, political, and above all, unity and peace in Nigeria.
We will work with you in NIPOST, to make sure that the narrative about NIPOST and other institutions in this country are changed.
The visit also created an avenue for NTA and NIPOST to restate commitments to poverty alleviation through the promotion of digital economy. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
The federal government has, as a matter of urgency, assured support for victims of Auno Boko Haram insurgency attack. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, gave the assurance while commiserating with the people of Auno in Konduga local government area of Borno State. Naomi Abuaku reports.
Accompanied by Chairman North-East Development Commission in EDC, Major General Paul Tarfa, and its Managing Director, Dr. Muhammad Goni Al-Khali, Minister Sadia Umar Farouk described the incident as inhuman and evil. The sympathy visit, she explained, was a directive by President Muhammadu Buhari for the assessment of level of destruction for immediate intervention to ameliorate the effect of the insurgency attack on the people.
It's a very pathetic situation, and government is trying its best to see that normalcy returns to these areas so that people can go back to their normal lives.
Sadia Umar Farouk said government will rebuild all destroyed houses and empower those who lost their means of livelihood.
We have seen the level of destruction. We have seen what happened. The next thing is we have to go back and sort out ourselves and see how we can help rebuild their life back and provide support to whatever does happen in Auno here.
The minister also inspected a long-week medical outreach organized by a North-East Development Commission to meet medical needs of insurgency-affected persons in Borno State.
The government has deemed it fit through the North-East Development Commission to come and offer this free medical outreach.
Sadia Umar Farouk was also at the North-East Development Commission new office in Maiduguri, where she inspected the facility. In Maiduguri, Naomi Abuku, NTA News.
Our next report from Abuja says 6 out of the 16 fire trucks purchased by the federal government have been commissioned by the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola. This was at the passing out parade of 2,200 cadets officers of the Federal Fire Service. Doing Dia was there.
2,200 cadet officers marching out colorfully after 6 months of rigorous training, and now they are ready to face the task ahead of them, saving lives and property during fire outbreaks and other related disaster incidents in the country. The parade reviewing officer and Minister of the Interior, Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, inaugurated the newly acquired equipment. The spate of fire disaster in the last few months and other ecological disaster, Ogbeni Aregbesola says, call for a more proactive measure.
My huge commendation, however, is to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, Nigeria, for repositioning the Federal Fire Service.
Nigeria should expect better fire service delivery because this personnel will be deployed to various states, and the 6 vehicle commission is out of the 16 that have arrived the country.
A simulation exercise of rapid response operation and emergency rescue was performed to the delight of the guests.
And we can also see how they are rescuing the victims. They kind of personal protection.
We are now ready to take the bull by the horn.
In order to put Nigeria a better place for every citizen.
And the one is also impressed with the management of the fire
service. And I'm very delighted that we saw the presentation of the new firefighting trucks, which will assist the Nigerian firefighting service.
Apart from this set of modern firefighting trucks that is being commissioned by the Minister of Interior, 10 additional trucks have arrived at Papa Port and waiting for customs clearance.
The House of Representatives Committee on Disaster Preparedness has raised concern over the meager budgeting allocation to the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, considering the magnitude of disaster being experienced in the country. Chairman of the committee, Abdulrahim Tunji, stated this when he paid a visit to NEMA as part of his oversight functions. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu has details.
Disaster all over the world has continued to ravage human existence in all ramifications without prior notice as to when and how or where it may affect. The management of these usually requires high level of technical know-how as well as huge monetary intervention. In Nigeria, for instance, prominence among disasters being experienced in the country are flood, fire outbreak, and collapsed building, as well as insurgency. These oversight function in NEMA, the committee chairman said, is not to witch hunt, but rather to find possible ways of improving the capacity of the agency to meet up with challenges ahead.
According to the definition of emergency, there is no notification. It happens when you least expected. As a legislator, we need to fine-tune the law that established NEMA to make it more effective.
But very fruitful discussions, and I think some of the gaps created by the Act, they are promising to handle it.
Some members of the committee advise the agency to always respond immediately when a disaster occurs in any part of the country. The meeting adopted the new approach of NEMA to disaster management from reactive to proactive, which will now give priority to prevention rather than relief material distribution. In Abuja, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
Still on disaster management, residents of Ubi, Egbe, and Gwa community in Ida local government area have appealed to relevant authorities of government and international agencies to come to their aid over the ravaging gully erosion threatening to sack the community. Correspondent Usman Gambo reports.
Environmentalist says the gully erosion and damages has caused the inhabitants of Angwa sleepless night, urging the federal government to do the needful to rescue the community.
We plead to the federal government or whoever is willing to help us, especially the agencies, to help us out. If not, we are in doom.
Ata Igala and President Kogi State Council of Chiefs, Idako Michael Amebon II, call on well-meaning Nigerians and all stakeholders to come together in order to put an end to erosion in Ida.
It's a problem, and the only way we will continue to abuse the state government, to abuse the federal government, to come to our rescue.
From Angwa community in Ida, Usman Gambo, NTA News.
Adebola Oluwole Dada is in Ibadan for more reports on Nationwide. Adebola.
Lydia, and welcome to Ibadan. Mindful of security threats that may arise from developments across the country, especially in neighboring states, the Kwara State government has held a multi-stakeholder security dialogue. Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak says the dialogue will help in re-energizing the security apparatus of the state. Raliat Ibrahim reports.
Possible implications from rising insecurity in parts of the country, the ban on Okada and tricycle in Lagos State, and the constitution of Operation Amotekun in the southwest are among the reasons for the dialogue. The major area of concern is that criminals from other states, especially from neighboring states, could seek an hiding place in Kwara State if preventive measures were not put in place.
Kwara State, being the most peaceful state in the northern part of Nigeria, cannot sit on its oars and assume going forward it will remain the same. And Kwara State cannot forever remain like that if we don't take proactive measures.
Discussants dissected the theme of the dialogue, which is towards strengthening the security architecture in Kwara State exploring community initiatives.
We see that there's need to strengthen the peace regime in Kwara. Kwara has a low level of crime.
Whatever manpower shortage we have is not going to limit us from discharging our duties creditably.
Stakeholders are in agreement that it is better to be ready before insecurity comes into the state. The goal is to ensure Kwara State remains the state of harmony. Raliat Ibrahim, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. Nationwide continues after this break.
On April 2nd, 2020, in the capital city of Abuja, the Ivory 8 Ball, a life-saving fundraising event featuring music and arts in aid of skin cancer patients with albinism. For participation and sponsorship, call Edidiong on 070-197-73352 or Chinwe on 090-559-61514. This event is powered by Nigerian Television Authority, TV Enterprises, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, African Independent Television, and Raypower FM, Silverbird Television, and Rhythm FM, the Albino Foundation, the Ivory 8 Ball, for a worthy cause. Watch out.
My name is Yemi Adetunji, the COO downstream of NNPC. Ever since the closure of the borders, we have seen a marked reduction, about 10%, in terms of the evacuation of what you call loadouts of PMS, which equates to about 6 million liters per day, essentially because of the border closure, because of certain aspects we've also done as NNPC, working with our sister organizations, sister agencies, Nigerian Customs, DPR, Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, and other agencies, and also what we call Operation White, which is an intervention we have put in place to trace and track every molecule of petroleum products as they arrive in country through the vessels, as they move through the depots, and as they are evacuated with trucks out of the depots.
Lassa fever occurs when a person gets bitten by a rat carrying the Lassa virus. It is also contacted through the consumption of foods that have been contaminated by either the saliva, urine, or excreta of the rats. Lassa fever is deadly, so protect yourself and loved ones from it. Keep rats away from your homes. Ensure that leftover foods are properly covered at night and heat up properly before consumption. Wash fruits properly before you eat. Maintain regular hand wash with soap and water, as well as environmental sanitation. Report all feverish conditions and bleeding from the nose or mouth to the health facility nearest to you, and don't indulge in self-medication. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA.
Welcome back. It's now time to go over to Just Network Center with Caleb Gochin. Caleb.
Thank you, Lydia. Welcome to JOS. Strategic partners in the National Homegrown School Feeding Program in Plateau State are advocating for stronger health measures to fight the resurgence of Lassa fever and country at large. This is an awareness program on preventive measures on Lassa fever organized by the Social Investment Program in the value chain. Bilkisu Nuhu has details.
Lassa fever has in recent times become a disturbing health challenge in the state, with 11 of the 26 reported cases.
We apologize for the loss of signal. Moving on now. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Abia State Command, has paraded a suspected oil bunkerer in Umuahia, the state capital, while 2 other suspects are at large. The suspect and the tanker with 33,000 liters laden with petroleum products were impounded in Aba. Steve Lonai Nwakolo reports.
Parading the suspect, Commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Abia State, Nnamdi Nwanuku, noted that the suspect, Philip Iroha, 42 years old, was arrested in Aba town with a container truck laden with products suspected to be crude oil. The commandant also impounded a truck of 33,000 liters laden with petroleum products, while suspected owners took to their heels on citing men of the NLCDC. The NLCDC state commandant also decried activities of the suspects, urged Abia citizens to shun acts of economic sabotage, illegal petroleum activities, and engage themselves in legitimate means of livelihood.
The nature of the offense committed, basically vandalism and illegal dealing on petroleum products suspected to be crude oil. We recovered a marked tanker truck without registration number, loaded with about 6,000 liters of petroleum.
He also gave insights